and welcome to this webinar. Basically, we organized this webinar in order to aim to that we can provide some project insight to you people. What is the conversation actually take place when a project is proposed and an architect has designed something, and he is also requiring some kind of structural consulting. So in that case, what is the exact conversation in between them, and what is the complete procedure to come up with a very economical and feasible design? So that will be the main way aim of this today's webinar. Okay, and so moving forward to that, so like, have you guys like ever wondered what it actually takes to come up with the best design alternatives? Because when you are learning something new in the class, or in your university, in your workplace, everything is fine. You are learning something, you are getting a good amount of ample amount of technical knowledge, which is really important. But do you ever wondered how these technical knowledge are actually like implemented in the site? What actually happens behind the door? Because all you see is that a project is being proposed, someone is going to construct some kind of big building or structure, and there are some architect or engineer who is doing the work behind that, and ultimately it is being constructed. But what is the process? What is the process before starting the construction actually? How the design things, like how they come up? So how do they do it? Have you ever wondered that? So let's have a look over like the other side of the project. So to introduce that project to you, I'd like to request ma'am to like explain what is the project exactly about, and what are the things that actually you have considered for this project, and so that our participants can get a pretty good idea that what exactly you have designed. So ma'am, please.
Can I get the slides?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's our next slide. So, hi everyone. We'll basically begin knowing about the site conditions. Suppose in my case, the site that is located in Guwahati, Assam, and the site has an approx area of about 100 acres. Okay, and the soil type existing there is alluvial soil. So, in that site, we have to understand that our existing national highway, which is the NH37, and nearby that we have a petrol pump. And how much are we going to walk to reach our site? So in my case, it is around 12 meters that we are going to travel to reach our site. You can see here, it is the proposed site there. And nearby that, there is a water channel flowing here. Okay. So since there is a water channel, so in my design, I have considered few of the factors which are very much climate responsive. So then again, the site is a little bit slope going down the water channel around this part. So I have done certain considerations, understanding the site conditions. Okay. So accordingly, I have come up with my site plan. As you can see here, these are all the requirements that has been mentioned as per the previous slide. I will let you know when you need to change the slide. So here you can see I have made the placement of the entire requirements. It's basically a academic institute site. So there is certain requirements like they'll be having some boys hostel or girls hostel, the admin block, the educational academic block, plus there will be a like recreation area and student activity center. And apart from that, there will be a library that is here. These are certain requirements that has to be followed, and there are also some principal and staff quarters which exist in the site. So we'll place the requirements according to the site conditions. So the next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, Debarshi, you can move to the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, Debarshi, can you move to the next slide?
The slides are being rolled. Like, are you able to see the slides?
No, I am not able to change the slide. You please, no.
There is some kind of
Just take the next.
yeah. So is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah. See the, yeah, this is the next slide, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So see, here in my site, I have to understand what is my landform. Fine. So mostly it is the flat and a little bit of slight tilt and slope around the channel part. That is this area of the site. Okay. And rest my land is almost flat. So in flat site conditions, so we have to think of few of like design techniques that needs to be followed. Suppose in such kind of areas, what we can do is that we can provide open spaces and build forms build that building should be spread out with a large open space in between them. So here maximum we have to provide some open spaces so that the air and the circulation between the blocks doesn't get restricted within itself. So there is ample space so that the air can flow, because there is different sizes of structures which are existing here. The hostel blocks are of the highest height, and next to that is the library block and the admin block and other requirements which exist in the site. So we have to make sure that the building spacing such that the airflow is promoted is such that the building spacing is such that the airflow is properly promoted. So you can see here there are certain profiles of the buildings which has been provided. And in our case, suppose we have taken a few profiles, we have an L profile, we have this like a C profile and single block profile. So these are some studies that you need to understand before you do the blocking in any of your designs. So apart from that, careful waterproofing and drainage of water are essential considerations of a building design. And again, in our site, since it is in Assam, so heavy rainfall is a major issue. And we have considered few of the issues, and according to that, we have come up with our design solutions. So for heavy rainfall, we have to make sure that the water, like the building proper, proper rainwater harvesting in all the building blocks has to be properly done, so that it doesn't get clotted inside the site, and at the same time, we can make the use of the waste. Please the next slide. Yeah. So in the design concept, what I have thought about the design concept is that first understanding the issues and the climate. Since the climate, you all know, is kind of tropical monsoon climate and a bit a mix of warm and humid climate also. But it's almost a tropical monsoon climate with a mix of warm and humid. So in that site conditions and climate conditions, some issues that has to be understood are heavy rainfall. Next is your high seismic zone 5. It is in the high seismic zone area. Then there electricity issues and the capacity of students. Suppose it's a campus building, it's a campus site, so the flow of students will be in good numbers. So you have to consider about the maximum usage that will be done by the people who will be staying in the blocks. So you have to consider about the human human environment also. You have to take care about their like comfortable living spaces, so that any kind of these issues doesn't affect their living style. So apart from that, we have, after the knowing the issues, we have developed some inferences, like the kind of solutions that needs to be done according to the site conditions, such as RCC slope roof to prevent rainwater clog in the roofs, then installation of rainwater harvesting for maximum use of wastewater, recycling, and using it for toilet flush and landscape water garden also. Then we have the central atrium for reducing heat gain inside the block and for proper light and ventilation inside the three side blocks. So I will share my plan in the coming upcoming slides. So these are some design considerations. Suppose windows on both sides are one of the important things that needs to be considered, because cross ventilation is an important part. So can we just get into the plan, which is, I think, below the like floor plans. Next slide. Next. Yeah. So here in this slide, you can see that open spaces and built form buildings. I have considered this feature of open spaces and built form buildings that spread out with a large space between, so that any kind of air restriction or air movement is prohibited. And then orientation and platform, as temperature are not very high, free plans can be evolved as long as the building in under protective shade. So again, shading devices are important parts. So around the building, there are, apart from the slope, shading devices are also installed in the form of chachas and in the form of simple overhangs or cantilevers that are also provided there. Then the building could be long and narrow to allow cross ventilation. For example, a single loaded corridor plan with one room on one side is preferable over a doubly loaded. So in the next, can you shift to the next plan? In the top floor, this is the down floor plan. Yeah, in the top floor plan, here you can see is that like the blocks are being provided something like this. And on the other hand, there is another block, and in the middle, there is a cutout which provides the flow of air to move inside the block area, that is a corridor space, and the windows are provided on both sides of the blocks for cross ventilation of the rooms. So we should just the previous slide will go next to the design concept. Yeah, this one. So in the concept, some like important features should also be considered, like design objectives. What should be the objectives of reaching your design? So you have to resist the maximum heat gain, then decrease the surface area of the building exposed to the outside by using materials that take a longer time to heat up. So materials play a bit like great
And
role in
I see,
making.
yeah, I see like there is a huge requirement of the high temperature, because I see that you have provided so much functions to accommodate more and more air, and you are also suggesting different kinds of materials. So heat is a really big concern, I think, for this project. The
Yeah,
temperature.
heat gain and rainfall both are big issues, because the climate is some tropical climate, but at sometimes there is a humid factor is also there. So in both case, the thing is that if there is heavy rainfall, definitely there will be a content of moisture in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So to reduce that content, we have to maximize the number of, like inside spaces in the form of vertical cutouts, so that the airflow is continuously flowing, and no such kind of dampness or any kind of patches that develop in the wall buildings or in the walls of the buildings. So for all those things, some important considerations has to be done. That is why I'm saying that resisting the heat gain, then decreasing surface area of the building exposed to the outside, then using materials that take a longer time to heat up, okay, then providing buffer spaces between outside and the inside, and increasing shading of the building in general, because the more you give exposed cutouts in the vertical walls, you have to provide some kind of shading devices, so that the rainfall or any kind of water or air breeze does not get inside directly into the corridors or into the like lobby areas. So the next slide. So in the elevation also you can see, yeah, in the elevation, actually this green, okay. In the elevation, you can see that there are big cutouts in the walls, okay. There are big cutouts, and these are the like long corridor passages, fine. And then these cutouts are again provided with the shading device, which is provided in the like slab here, okay. The slab is extended in this portion, so that the like rainwater does not enter directly. You can provide a L shape overhanging also. I have provided flat overhanging. You can provide a L shape also. Okay. So can you shift to the next slide? Yeah, I have explained this slide. The next one. Next slide. Yeah. So semi-open spaces, just hold on. Semi-open spaces, previous slide, please. Previous slide. Previous. Yeah, this one. Previous slide. No, the previous one. Yeah, this one. So
And I think this is the this one.
this is the first floor plan. The previous one was the ground floor plan, and this is the first floor
Ground
plan.
floor plan.
Okay. Yeah. So here again, semi-open spaces such as balconies, verandas, and porches can be used advantageously for daytime activities as well as to give protection from rainfall. So in my case, you have seen this long corridors in the form of balconies. They can also work as balconies, and the ground floor they are working as verandas. So all these features has to be installed in your design. And in multi-storied buildings, a central courtyard can be provided with vents at higher levels to draw away the rising hot air. So that is what I have done. Like since it is covered in three sides, side it's protected by walls. So it's a central courtyard in the mid. Again, there is again an atrium in this portion, which could also act as a courtyard or a skylight also. So these are provided to reduce the amount of heat gain inside the building block. Yeah, and again here you can see I have provided a patch of bushes that is in the first floor, and when you will see the view, you will understand the concept that I have been installed in this design. So in these plants, all these plants what are basically for, they will absorb the heat like aloe vera, acryla palm plants, ficus plants and ferns. These are some basic bushes that will reduce the amount of heat gain in the building, that will reduce the moisture content also. Please the next slide. Yeah. So in the view, can you take the view, Devarshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you get to the view?
The top view. This one.
Yeah, the roof profile.
Yeah.
Okay. So see here you can see the entire structure that I have designed. So what I was talking was, this was the central courtyard part. Please don't change the slides. I will let you know. This is the central courtyard part. Okay. So this is the wall is in three sides. It's in three sides. It's covered in three sides, and the top, in the top, that is the RCC pergola roof. Okay. So this has been provided as a shading device. Okay. At the same time, it gives the effect. It gives a cooling effect. At the same time, it provides the scorching heat of the sun and gives a pleasant environment to sit and have some activities here in the daytime. And then again, this part, which is again covered with a polycarbonate transparent sheet, that is a skylight, which is inside the living areas of the students. Okay, and on this part that I have provided a double pitched roof, and you must be thinking about what are these like projecting shapes. So these are basically like roof angles that I have provided at 30 to 45 degree to provide the solar panels there, because I want to generate electricity for this building with solar power. So I have provided this space for installation of solar panels. And on the right side, this is the monopitch roof that is provided to shade this block of the building. And some concern is regarding this part of the structure, because that has to be cut down, because this cantilever will be a big challenging thing to do it structurally. So I'll be reducing this part, and it will be basically in the form of an L shape. Okay. So you can see this concept, this step has been done. So this step has been done. This is a design concept that is installed to reduce thermal insulation, and at the same time give some planter box to give some aesthetic feature to the elevation, and making the structure a bit like breaking the monotony of this platform in the facade. And on this part, this is creating an anomaly in the elevation. Okay. Previous slide. Can you go to the previous slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, what kind of texture and color you have providing is also will also be helpful for reducing the heat effect and providing the cooling environment inside the blocks. So the wall should be painted with light pastel shades or whitewashed. The surface of the roof can be broken clay style, that is China mosaic flooring, to deflect the sunlight back to the environment and hence reduce heat gain of the building. The use of appropriate colors and surface finish is a cheap and very effective technique to lower indoor temperatures also. So if you are providing solutions that should go also for the indoor walls also. So this is up to you. So more you will reduce the texture impact and the like pitch of color that will make it more calm and reduce the heat effect to like get inside the blocks. So the next slide. Yeah, next to the roof profile. Yeah. So what is the kind of door material, that is UPVC doors and windows? Again, these are eco-friendly materials, and MS railings are provided for the long corridors. And this is what I was talking about, the vertical mass cut on these areas of the walls, so that maximum amount of ventilation is happening inside the like closed block areas. So for this area, there is a in the phase of difference regarding this part of the wall, so that they can just have some outdoor feature of the space also, so there can view of the plantations and entire scenic view around this area. And on this part, they can just enjoy the lobby space with a common gathering on these areas. Next.
And ma'am, for the wall or the exterior panels, all that, like, have you considered any special kind of material, like to resist more heat and kind of thing?
Yeah, that I will be talking about.
Okay.
I have mentioned the materials because in the roof, I have basically provided this, what to say, heat reflective paints. The material
Okay.
part, can you show the slide?
Yeah.
So in the heat reflective, like these are green certified heat reflective roof coatings, and they are certified for cooling the like roofs to a great number, so that the heat is not insulated inside. And then these are some textures that I have used. This is sandstone color paint on the existing wall facades. Okay. Then terracotta detailings in the like balconies and in the what the beam areas, and paver blocks. These are provided for flooring in the like approach areas in the below the entrance, near the entrance part. And these are some garden space detailings. And basically the kind of blocks that I have used, I have proposed for the using all these blocks is the ACC blocks, because they're good for excellent thermal insulation. So this is a good like solution for making the building more insulated.
Okay. So thank you, ma'am. Like I got a pretty much idea about it, what the project is all about. So basically, I see that you are in the complete design. Your design was more concerned about how to balance those natural imposters, like how to balance the heat, because it is already existing in a high heated area. So temperature is a big issue. At the same time, you are concerned about the rainfall, because it is a highly rainfall prone area. And also from structure point of view, I also see that Guwahati is coming into high severe seismic zone. So I'll talk about all those things later. And I'm also really glad to see that.
Basic concern is, I will just highlight what you have said is that basic concern is about like what is suppose because it is a heavy rainfall prone area and high seismic prone area, and I have also mentioned the soil conditions. So in such soil conditions, the structure has to be deep rooted. So you can go for some kind of raft or pile foundations for heavy deep structure, because it is quite a high.
I'll talk about that. Sure, definitely. So actually I'm glad to see that you have incorporated so many things that I was also about to suggest you. So you have already incorporated those things, and there are few things which I like to explain to these participants. Because see, the architect has already got a good conversation with the client. So she is having a pretty much good idea about what exactly the client is desiring to build. So she has came up with that her idea, like what exactly he is looking through his design. But now as a structure engineer, my role is to provide a economic and a very what can I say, a ease of construction, a feasible way which will be very easy to construct and also very easy to implement. So I'll be talking from the structural point of view of this design. So there is a transformation that actually takes place to transform the architect's idea or the design to exactly execute it in the field. And that is the role which exactly an engineer does. So when I'm like looking at the particular design that ma'am has come up with, I see a lot of, I'll not say a lot of challenges in terms of the structural geometry. There are a few things which really I need to take more care about while designing. But more or less, the structure is pretty like not very unconventional, I'll say. But at the same time, it has some special design features which I need to take special care of while designing the beams and columns and the footings. So, like the very first questions come into a structure engineer's mind when like a structure engineer sees the architect's design, that is it feasible? So obviously this design is very feasible and it is already having so much of different kinds of design features. So it is actually interesting to work in these kinds of projects. So how this happens. So first, and as an engineer, I need to study the structure of the design. That means what are the design features ma'am has considered or the architect has considered, what are the design concept he has used, what are the design elements, different elements, like whether she wants a special kind of cantilever part, she wants some kind of columnless structures, is there is a very need of different kinds of a separate kind of footing or all those things. So those are the things I am more concerned about. And while I'm talking about this, I actually pretty much like observe the elevation, and there are some things which I would like to suggest in the later slides. And like so now the major part comes when I have to design the structure. So first you need to study the structure of the design, then you have to design the structure. When I say design the structure, that is completely separate from architectural design. So as the structural design is more concerned about how much of steel is to be provided, what should be the beam cross section, what should be column cross section, what are the different kinds of loads are coming. So depending on that, I have to analyze the structure. Then I'll be like coming up with the stresses that are being generated, and according to that, I'll provide different kinds of solutions. Like this should be your cross section of the beam, this should be the cross section of the column, your slab thickness should be this much. So those are the different things. So like to typically explain you like what exactly a structure engineer does in a project. So these are some of the previous project, not this particular exactly one, but I'll also like to mention this first figure you see, because in the structure that we are already studying right now, it is also having a kind of L-shaped portion, the front portion of the building. So this is what a structure engineer does. He like incorporates the aesthetic and ideas and all those things, but at the same time he talks about what should be the like the where the column should be positioned. It shouldn't be so congested that exactly the free space is not much available. So those are the things we need to like keep in mind while designing the structures. And also at the same time, if I want to sum up what are the parts I need to deal with, that we need to provide different kinds of working plan. Where should be the excavation done? What kind of foundations to be provided? So now coming about the consent design or the consent structure. So what are the challenges that are actually faced while designing this kind of structure? So when I was like going through the project, the guidelines, the site conventions and all those things. So I came up with some things, some different elements, which I'd like to highlight here, that the ma'am has provided certain kind of shading device in the top. So if you closely look at the shading device, this shading device is not supported on the four sides. So basically you can see this is one side, this is the second, and this is the third side. and this side is completely open. So you can understand from this, this is a huge, I mean, span. Okay. So in that case, this way, what can I say? If I consider this as the, if you are able to see my cursor, or I can annotate actually. Yeah. So the red mark you can see. So these are the elements which are supported only on one side. So in that case, while designing this kind of thing, what we can do is, if I can change the color. Yeah. So if you see those yellow colored lines, so these elements are supported on both sides. So what we can do here actually is we can increase the cross section of these beams or this I mean elements of the shading device. What is the material, ma'am? This is wood or concrete?
Yeah, no, this is that is I have provided it in concrete, so you can
Okay,
play
okay.
around with the materials.
Yeah, yeah,
You can play.
definitely.
You want to
So
go
even
for
if you provide concrete, no problem, because not much of live load will be acting there, because this is just for shading purpose. So in that case, what we can do, we can increase the cross section of the beams which are along the yellow lines, and we can reduce the cross section of the beams which are along the red lines. So basically those red beams will be resting over the yellow colored beams. So in that way, we can definitely achieve this. So there is not much problem, and also at the same time, it is also adding some kind of aesthetic to the building as well. Though it is having its separate purpose, like the shading purpose, it is being used.
Yeah, yeah. This is basically more like function is also there. Function follows the form, and nothing should be out completely without logic. So it has a logic behind it. It is basically providing a shading device. At the same time, it is aesthetically appealing, and plus it is giving protection from the direct heat of the sun.
Heat of the
So
sun.
the other blocks are getting the light which is diffused. So you can see the kind of shades that are falling in the blocks in each of the floors. Okay. So this is because of the effect of this pergola that has been provided in the top. If I would have provided in there in the ground floor or by in the second floor, it might not have been that useful. So floors that were low.
Yeah, definitely. So that was one thing. Then I'd also like to talk about this cantilever portion, which you can see as I have marked as number 3. So this is a basically from the drawing, I measured that this was around 19 to 20 feet. So I have come up like to don't hamper your design thinking. I have also come up with 2-3 different alternatives in which way you can also achieve, like you don't need to cut down the length as well. So there are options. You can reduce the length, or you can also go with this much length, but choosing different kinds of material. And I'll also talk about that in the next slides. And then one more interesting thing which I saw and liked in your design, that you have provided this kind of elevated, like in slopey roof profile, which is actually supporting the solar panels. And that is also good because like to make it a sustainable structure. And also I don't know whether how much angle you have provided, but like I've seen in one place where it was mentioned that around, if you provide like around 12 to 15 degree, it is best for to absorb the solar light. Actually it depends, varies from place to place, because depending on the location, the sun path will also depend, and also according to that.
Yeah, what is the kind of like,
yeah. And also coming to this number 4 element, I can see that the columns that are provided at the two very ends, I think the distance between them is around 30 to 35 feet. So that thing, I feel like there is needed to be one more column in between. I'll also talk about that later in the slide. And apart from that, I really like the idea how you have incorporated so many open spaces in the structure, just to incorporate more and more air and light ventilation. And but also like from structure point of view, that is also kind of it also makes us more challenging, because we need to also incorporate so much of wind at the same time, because the location Guwahati is also coming under a good 50 meter. The basic wind speed of Guwahati is 50 meter per second. So it is also a challenging for us to design while having such a high wind speed. So like how we can accommodate that, we'll also talk about that. So first, coming to the geometry. So basically, as you can see, the structure is not symmetric. If I divide this structure into two parts, this topmost part, but what can I say, the main part of the structure, it is having a continuous form, but at the same time you have provided some kind of open space for the,
yeah, that is a cutout which is ending up to as a skylight in the
skylight.
roof profile.
Yeah, so that is actually good. And at the same time, I feel like there should be some kind of construction joint provided along this red dotted line, because we cannot construct it like all at a time. So we need to provide some kind of construction joint, and to not to hamper your design, but also to provide a construction joint. What we can do is we can provide a small passage, like a passage which will be like, you can understand. I'll annotate it. Like this will be a part, and this will be a separate part. Both will be constructed separately, and then there will be a small passage which will be connecting these two buildings. So I see there is already an existing passage. So just the base of these two structure will be separate. That is the thing I was talking about. Like there will be no continuous beam running from this side to this side. So we need to provide some kind of construction joints at there. But obviously that will not also hamper the design. So there is no issue regarding that. But like there is no revision need to be done. This is something which we need to take care of while during the construction. And so that was it. And also one more good thing that you have already provided a cutout, which is already be acting as a construction joint. I mean to say that there is already a open space. So this is no problem. This is actually like contributing to it. So that is a good thing also. And then talking about the design loads, from the IS code, I have seen that Guwahati is falling into the very high risk, the severe seismic zone, which is zone 5. So we need to take care of seismic loads as well. And at the same time, it is also falling in the second highest category of basic wind speed, that is 50 meter per second. So this is highly prone to earthquake as well as wind loads. And as the site is also situated near the hilly terrains and areas, so wind is also a very great factor while designing these kinds of structures. And the geometry actually plays a huge role in this point, the wind point of view, because the more irregular your shape or the geometry of the structure is, the wind gets more turbulent. Like when the wind will be flowing on the structure, there is different kinds of vortex motions are created. So due to that, it also hampers. It can affect the structure more. But at the same time, I also see that a number of windows are already provided in the structure. So this can alternatively help into that. So it will, what can I say? The wind will be allowed to percolate. So that is a good thing about the.
Yeah, because the window is provided in both sides of the rooms for easy cross ventilation of the rooms. So that is provided on both sides. Yeah.
So that will help actually. Yeah. So while thinking of the structural system, like what kind of foundation should be provided, so I came up I did the analysis and found that if we go for isolated footing, we can do that, but you can see that we have to accommodate a lot of columns. Obviously, this was a huge structure. So, but when you are constructing isolated footings or isolated column system, in that case, the major problem is that it will be very much uneconomical, because though I have provided some kinds of spacings of around 15 feet, 20 feet, I have kept that in mind so that the columns doesn't get too much closer. But instead of keeping keeping that thing in mind, still the number of columns are huge. And so in that case, the alternative option we can go for is a mat foundation or a raft foundation. So for that, I need to exactly know site condition of the profile, whether it is a rock strata or something. I think you're talking about alluvial soil.
Yeah, yeah. So it is not absolutely rock, because it is a channel flowing nearby the side again.
Okay.
A water channel. So I think raft or pile will be a good consideration for
Yeah.
such kind of sites.
So pile, yeah. So talking about pile was also an good option, but I don't exactly know what is the bearing capacity of soil. So depending on that, I can like predict whether pile would be an economic option or not. Because if the soil is too weak, then in that case, maybe we have to go for a number of piles, group piles. So, but raft would be a very economic, like from like knowing this little bit of data, I can predict that raft or mat foundation would be great for this kind of site and footing system. So that can be an economical option. And also I have noticed that you have like very much concerned about the green materials and everything. So like those were some of the things which I was already about to tell you, like the AAC blocks, which is super lightweight. And at the same time,
Yes.
it is like
It will be
good for
kind of
giving
foundation like
resistance.
raft.
Yeah, like for the wall purpose and all those things. But there are some other also alternatives which you can also consider, like the ultra lightweight concrete. But I did not suggest
Yes.
it because of the it is already coming into high seismic zone. So in that case, I'm not sure whether it is gonna perform very good or not. So for that, I need to.
And I think for lightweight diversity, availability is also a factor because it
Yeah,
is a
yeah, definitely.
completely new kind of research material that has come
Yeah.
up in the market. So it will take
Then
some
there is,
time to reach
yeah.
such kind of things.
Then there is hollow concrete panels which you can also use. This is actually only for the purpose that it is very much heat resistance. So it will keep the like entire interior element or the environment it will keep very cool. So it can reflect a lot of heat. So in that case, hollow concrete panels can also be a good idea for the slab or roofing system. And like from one of my past case studies, I have come up with this, which I like highly recommend you. Like if you are suggesting in the construction, like you can go for radiant cooling system. So this is something interesting, and this is like perfectly applicable for your this project because I'm explaining it. Like when the slab is being casted, there are different kinds of pipes are available. So you can insert those pipes into the reinforcement and do the concrete slab casting. So what will happen after this is done? You can the inlet and outlet valve, I mean the entry and output channel of that complete pipe will be open. So from one end, a very cool water can be passed away, and from the other end, it will like absorb all the heat from the concrete and it will like exert hot water. So in that case, you can also reuse that water for sanitization purposes and all those things, or cleaning the floors and all those things, because it is not that much polluted. It is just a cold water getting warmed. And but during the process, the entire structure, the entire roof actually like get cooled down. So this is a very good approach, and this is also
But
yeah.
yeah, that is fine. But will that not add to the moisture factor? Because
No, no, no.
again, we have to consider that's a highly rain-prone area.
No, that will not, definitely, because of the material that are being used. Because this is already done in one of the libraries. I was working with my guide, so in that case they have done it. So the material is, I think, UPVC kind of PVC or UPVC kind of material. I need to see that exactly. But these pipes are like completely, because though they are like they will be casted, so there is no like chance of vibration or certain kinds of, and those are not also exposed to exterior weather as well, because concrete will be casted over it, so it will forever remain inside of the concrete slab. So those
Okay, that
pipes,
I got it. But in case of any kind of leakage, in case of any kind of leakage in all those pipes, how are we going to fix it?
that is the thing. In that case, we need to take extra care, because maybe we can provide some kind of like waterproofing, like what can I say, coatings around those pipes to make it, because we have like also have to see what is the lifespan of the structure. So in that case, as we are designing a hostel, I can assume that it is being designed for 100 years. So according to that,
Yeah, it will be a long expense.
Yeah, so waterproof coatings are also available, which actually provides that much longevity. So I need to also cross check that, but this is one of the like good options for you if you are like very much concerned about the heat thing. Okay, so radiant cooling system is like one thing I'd like to suggest. And while I was like talking about the revisions, what I can say that we can add one more column just to because you can see the you have provided this floors which is like in stepping pattern, which is actually pleasant and giving a very good aesthetic. But at the same time, we need to accommodate one more column just to because this entire wall is resting on those beams only. And you can also see this column is starting from this, but it cannot like continue up to
It is not extended there.
Mhm. So in for that purpose, these two columns will be the main who will be uh, like over that those beams will be resting in the rooms, and it
Okay,
will
what
all.
will be the minimum, what will be the width that you suggest for the beams of the structure?
So in that case, if I see that this particular spacing, I saw that it was around 19 to 20 feet. So for a span of 19 to 20 feet, we can easily accommodate 450 mm depth, 450 millimeter depth of beam. So that will be pretty much like for this kinds of floor arrangements. So
Right.
that will be enough, I think. And I need to also exactly like I cannot like from experience or the work that I've done, I can say that this much can save the structure easily. But if you want to go for more economical results, in that case, I need to do the exact analysis for that. So maybe I can cut down the the beam depth a little bit more, maybe
Yes, yes.
35 mm and all those things. So adding a column and also adding a column will also in like indirectly will reduce the depth of the beam because you are if you like provide more and more column, the span length will be less. So in that case, you can also accommodate like lesser depth of beam. So if you
So
want to,
we can reduce one kind of element. Suppose if we provide maximum columns, then we'll reduce with the sizes of the beams that you are saying basically.
yeah, but also at the same time we like need to also think about the free spaces also because we cannot like provide columns like very
Yeah, very frequently you
clumsy.
cannot provide columns very
Yeah.
frequently
So
because it
aesthetic
will
is also a
obstruct
point.
the feature.
Yes, ma'am. So that was the thing, and also the extended portion. I saw that it was around 18 feet, the cantilever portion that was being overhang portion. So in that case, I can say that this much 18 feet of concrete, this much load cannot be. I mean, like kept overhang like this because it will its self weight will be so much that it will
Yeah,
fall
yeah,
down.
yeah. That I have understood.
Huh.
That has to
So
be
in that
revised.
case, there are two options. Either you can reduce the cantilever portion if you want to, and like if you are not willing to reduce the length, that you are thinking that it is already adding an aesthetic to the building. So in that case, what we can do that we can provide some kind of cantilever beams, hidden beams. So those beams will be continuing from this end to sorry. So those beams will be continuing from this end to this end. Okay, it's like frequent beams will be there, and you can see as we are already providing a column here, so those beams will be like this, and you can easily put a lightweight concrete material kind of thing
Yeah,
that will be resting
definitely.
over
If
those
it is
beams.
not concrete also, if upon those beams, can I go for a GI sheet? It is
Yeah,
transparent.
definitely,
At the same
definitely,
time, it
you
will
can
continue the
go for
structure
any
also,
kind
or
of,
some
yeah,
glass also.
for some glass, for some fiber glass, or you can
Yes,
fiber
yes, yes,
sheet, iron corrugated
yes.
sheets are there, GI sheets are there. You can go for, or you can also provide more aesthetic if you want to. Like you can
Yeah.
incorporate different kinds of trusses, steel trusses, which will
Hmm.
also
Yeah,
provide you different.
trusses could also work. Trusses could also be a good feature.
So that can be different options, and yeah, pretty much of that. So basically, this was it. So I think we can like if we get to do this project, definitely we can execute it like in a very good way because there
Yeah, yeah.
are
Most of it.
challenges, but still this is very interesting structure. So like the participants, like this was a very deep conversation between ma'am and me. So what do you think? Oh, okay, I see there are a lot of questions. I guess it is forms follow function. Yeah. So ma'am, I think someone has got a question from your field, that is Atharva Jadhav. He's okay. He says that I guess it is the form follows function. So he's
Yeah, you
like,
can put it that way also. Like, because in my case, what I have done is that if you see the site plan, Deveshi, can you get to the site plan?
yeah.
So it's both way. You are right. It's either form follows function or function follows the form. Because in my case, I have developed the form as part the site profile. Okay, this is a site plan. Can you get to the site plan?
The very first slide.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The first slide where the site plan is there. Yeah. Site.
This one.
No, no, site plan. No, site plan. Yeah, yeah, this one. So, yeah. So, Atharva, you can see that this is my site profile. So, I have developed this as part the site profile. I have developed this profile, and then I have started working inside its like shape. So, after getting the shape, I have put in the forms like the requirements that are necessary for the hostel, and according to that I have deducted those unnecessary areas after getting my like entire requirements done. So it's both way. What you are saying is also right. Function follows form, but in my case, I have followed form follows a function. From the form, I have got this shape, and then I have put in my function and again deducted my form. So it's both way. It's right.
Okay, and Sheshu is asking, this radiant cooling will increase the structure load. Yeah, see that it will obviously increase the structure load because it is some like it is accommodating some extra material into the concrete, and obviously when the water will be flowing inside of that, it will add some extra load to the structure. But at the same time, you are ignoring the concrete because of insertion of those pipes. Obviously, the amount of concrete will be less in the slabs. So in that way, it will not add that much of extra load to the structure. So this is one of the options. So we can look for that. But obviously going with the like different kinds of green material like hollow concrete or AAC blocks, these are very good options because you'll be having a long-term effect of those because they are very like proven to be performing very well under heat conditions. Okay. Also at the same time, they are having different
So
cement.
I think in this case, both these materials like the ASC blocks and the hollow blocks that you are talking about, because in the exterior part, since we'll be going for raft kind of foundation, so above that, this ACC blocks will be a good option, and in your inside walls, that is nearby the atrium part. So in that interior walls, we can go for this kind of hollow blocks that you are suggesting.
Yeah.
So both
Definitely.
the materials can be applicable.
So Sandeep is asking in which software this project was designed. So you are talking about which design, the architectural design or the structural design. So like if I consider both is the question, in that case, ma'am, can you answer him? He's asking that what are the softwares you have used to design this?
Pardon, I didn't get.
He's
What are
asking
the?
about the softwares you have used to design this.
Okay. This is basically Revit architecture.
Okay, so you got your answer. And if you are asking about the structure part, I haven't done the analysis, but like I have like roughly gone through the overview of the project. But if you if I was assigned to really do the complete analysis and come up with the all the estimation and structural detailing, all that. So in that case, I would have used Tekla for the analysis, or maybe StatPro or ETABS is also there. So there are varieties of software that are being used. But for commercial purpose like this projects, I prefer Tekla Structural Designer because that is very handy and useful to use. I mean, very easy and also at the same time, very like comfortable you can get a lot of flexibility and lot of options to play with. So that is one of the good options. And so that was pretty much it. Like now I'm having the special kind of announcement. So before that, I just want to ask you all, you guys. So if you all are with me, so was it helpful? Like this complete entire conversation between an architect and a structure designer. So was it helpful? Did you get any kind of insights? Because if you see, there are a lot of things. Okay, what more is there? So if I start talking about this, so yesterday I was having a discussion with ma'am, and like ma'am actually asked me to share these things with you. Like there is a lot more things if you are like aiming to become a entrepreneur, if you are aiming to start something on your own, if you are aiming to start freelancing on your own, whether you are a civil engineer, whether you are an architecture student, doesn't matter. But if you are aiming to like enter into this field so that you can like take up some kind of project, you can do the architecture part of it, you can consult a structure engineer, or even if you are only interested in the architecture part as well. So in that case, what are the things you need to think about or you need to know about? So I'll quickly share those things with you. So there are some things like advanced maths. So like calculations, estimating, budgeting the project, converting the scale from blueprints. You need to convert the scale and have the drafting thing done. Then the technical specification, analytical skills. So those things comes under the advanced math part. So these are the things you need to know, like in order to become more confident while dealing with a project. Then there is a lot of design skills, obviously, which you need, like conceptualization, creative thinking. You need to have your design concepts very clear. Okay. Then design to delivery, those things. Then drafting, drawing, obviously. And imaginations also plays a good role. You need to have proper industrial design knowledge. And also at the same time, many at times like clients look for different innovative approaches. So in that case, innovation is also an important aspect. So like highlight on the yellow colored portions that I have highlighted, I will talk about that later. So when I'm talking about computer literacy, there comes different ample number of examples are there, like different CAD drafting softwares like AutoCAD, NanoCAD, etc. Then there is 3D modeling softwares like SketchUp, Revit. Then you can also go for 3ds Max. Then there is Revit architecture, Beam softwares. Okay. Then architectural rendering engines, rendering softwares like different V-Ray plugins, Enscape plugin. Then there is Lumion, all those things. Basically the very typical computer-aided designing softwares. So, and obviously a communication skills plays a very good, like big role. Okay. You know something, you are able to create 3D models, you are able to create 2D floor plans, but that is not enough. In order to like sell your designs to the client, or in order to get the clients, get the different projects, you have to have a very good communication skill. Okay. Because that will actually help you to like pick up more and more projects. Unless you are until you are very much communicable, you cannot take up different projects. So client dealing, client relations, collaborations, oral communication, written communications, mainly I'm talking about the documentation part. Then the interpersonal skills, how you interact with your clients, and most importantly the negotiation skills. So those are coming under the communication part, which you need to focus on. Then there is business knowledge you need to have. This is something I'll not tell that to start you need to have this at the very beginning, but with time, when you are thinking of scaling your business or scaling your freelancing career, or that particular freelancing thing, when you are thinking of scaling it, in that case you need to have a very good business knowledge. Unless until you cannot do that. Okay, I'm not saying that you cannot build a very good business alone. Obviously there are huge examples, like an ample amount of examples I can provide you, where the the people are doing on their own, like there is a sole owner who is operating all the businesses on his own. So in that case, it is possible. But at the same time, when you are like scaling your business, you are like growing more and more. In that case, you need to have some business knowledge in order to put that into the table. So data analysis, business plan, scheduling, project management, market research, these are also coming under this part. So why I'm telling you all these things? Because I just want to let you guys know that there are a lot of things which actually goes behind the screen. Okay, behind the project, there are a lot of things. So only having the, BTech or BR technical knowledge is not enough while you are aiming to build a business on your own. Like if you are aiming to, because in this current scenario, if you look, the market is really like have gone worse. Okay, obviously there is competition in the market, but there is also a tendency or a need of jobs in different sectors. Obviously people will be seeking for jobs, but at the same time you can understand the situation and you can also follow global and national news. You will quickly understand that this is a kind of situation, or this is the very right time, I would say, if you are thinking of starting a business on your own. So this is the moment when you need to step up and use the knowledge or the technical knowledge you are having and gain that extra something to put it into the table of the client. So this is the perfect time to start your freelancing career, or you can say your entrepreneurial journey, or in order to open your startup. This is the best time. And to have those things, these are the thing you need to know in background. Okay, and obviously there are more things like different codes and bylaws. Obviously architectural codes, zoning codes, fire safety, building codes. You need to know all these things, because it is not like that client will come to you and ask you that please design this structure for me, and you will design it and provide it to him or her. It is not only that much, because in order to provide a physical practical design, you have to also consider different bylaws, or until like your plan will not be approved at all. The municipality or the corporation, the governing authority, they will not approve your plan, because you are not having the proper kind of things. So in that case, so what can we do? So obviously there are a lot more additional skill set you need to know in order to step into this field. So what I have done is like that, in that case, we have come up with some kind of solution to this for you guys only. So we have come up with a particular training slash internship, whatever you would like to say, you can call it. So during that, like what are the aim, like why a student or a professional, even a professional, why they need a training or an internship? Because in an internship, you can get the practical exposure. You are having the knowledge, maybe you are the topper in your college or in your university, or maybe you are very good at like producing 3D renders and creating 3D models and everything. That is completely fine, but you need to have that real life working scenario when you are like working in a client aspects. You are considering those client requirements, and you are like working under that pressure. You have to get your thing done within this week. That will be there will be a deadline, there will be certain client requirements. So those practical, like you cannot always like design your project for your school last semester, which is basically your BTech or BR project that you do. That is completely fine, but there are a lot of hypothetical things you consider, because ultimately that structure is not going to be built or constructed. But when it comes to real life, you need to consider those real life constraints, real life parameters, which you can only get if you are doing a real life project or an internship. So you need to also understand how you can hold an interaction with the client, how the client meeting actually goes on. So those are the things you need to know. Then a completion of a project, complete project. In your career, in your college or university level, you can do something and you can anyhow finish it and submit it. But when you are working in a real project, you need to make sure and make checklist of each and every small detail. You need to keep a check on that. because you need to like understand that how the client will react based upon your proposal. So these internships or training can help you to connect the dot between the theoretical and practical knowledge you are having. So basically what it will do, the theoretical knowledge that you are already having in your college, or maybe if you don't have a very decent knowledge, we can help you to brush up your knowledge at the same time. But also at the same time, we are providing you a platform where you can work on real projects to get a good ample amount of practical knowledge. And while doing those, like handling those practical projects, you can understand where, when, and how your technical knowledge that you learn in college is going to be applied. So you will understand the relevance of your study, whatever you have studied, how it is exactly being applied to the practical field. And in that case, your technical knowledge will be more enhanced because you will be able to visualize things. You'll learn that, okay, I have learned this, but this is applied in this way. So this has real importance. So this is how an internship can shape your future or build your, career very big way. So like at the end, I'm announcing this DIAN architectural internship. Basically, it will be a 1-month internship where you will be like covered over different topics. Like you'll be taught how to like prepare architectural plans, how to do 3D modeling, how to design and work on the building aesthetics, how to do the interior detailing. And obviously the very important thing, like to get exactly the price you are deserving, you need to understand the client dealing part. Because even unless after knowing all these things, the point where an entrepreneur or a freelancer gets stuck is the payment part. Because he or she, I mean the student or the freelancer, most of the times they are very much shy to ask for the money they deserve, because obviously you will be working on your project very hard, and at the end when you'll be handing over that project to the client, you are not able to charge the money you deserve for that project. So we'll teach here how to work on that also. Okay, so basically we'll go over a 1 month of training period or internship period, you can say, where we will not work on any kind of hypothetical project. We'll work on real client based scenarios, and you'll be dealing with real projects. Okay, so then like what we'll do, I've already explained, I'll not go into much detail. Obviously after end of this internship, you will be learning how to deal with clients, how to negotiate and close deals, how to being able to initiate the thinking, and how you can break down the project, the exact huge amount, the huge lengthy project, how you can break down it into small pieces or small goals. Okay, then obviously after that we'll be going back to the basics. We'll also like brush up the theories, because obviously those are the basics of anything. Okay, the theoretical knowledge is the base of anything. So we'll also go back to the basics and brush up your technical knowledge as well. And then we'll also apply that design concept or your thinking into the softwares. So how you can draft quickly in a very faster and much efficient way. What are the technical specifications you need to mention in your AutoCAD drawing? Then how you can easily 3D model a particular building or a structure. Then how you are going to add the detailings. Those will be the thing that will be able to do after end of this internship. Then incorporating all the client requirements, like what actually client needs. Maybe the client is demanding something and you are providing him something else. So those are the things. Then outcome of this project, obviously you'll be learning all these things. So in one word, if I say, the major outcome of this internship will be that you'll learn the basics of architectural freelancing works. So after end of this internship, you'll at least have that confidence that you can pick up a small project and you can done it with ease. So that will be our main aim of this internship. So yeah, obviously, and at the end, you'll obviously get an internship completion letter from DIAN. So you'll be having a 1 month internship appraisal kind of letter. What can I say? An internship that the internship letter that you receive while you work for any kind of company. So those are the things. And like if I take you to the previous same similar batch or the internship batch, so in the last internship we incorporated this particular project where we are having a like practical location of Bhubaneswar. We are having practical client aspects, a typical like client requirements for a duplex house, or this is a 3-story building, sorry, I think. So in that case, what are the practical aspects or the demand of the client, and incorporating all those ideas. This was the project site that was chosen. So basically our student worked on this project. Okay. And then they came up, like some of them, like this was a hand-drawn sketch from Shuyasha, one of our students. She came up with this hand-drawn sketch. Okay. And it was quite beautiful, like how he thought of and how he conceptualized this. Then in the right side, you can see the drafted plan of this. So how you can convert from this to this, that will be taught to you. Okay. And how you can also like initiate thinking. And at the end, this was the rendered image. This was actually done by Sarasij, another student from our last internship. So you can see how they have added different details, like how the ma'am has taught them how to add different like design elements to the structure, how you can like accommodate different shading device and all those things. So this is the output of the internship. That is what I'm like trying to say. So after end of this internship, you will be able to, you know, create something like this. So this will be the output of this internship. You'll be able to like incorporate all those clients requirements. You'll be able to generate the technical floor plans. You'll be able to generate the 3D modeling, and also you'll be able to deal with the client, how to negotiate with them, and how to charge the money you want. So obviously now comes the main part, the market pricing of this. So if I quickly look at this, like for architectural planning course in the market, it will cost you around 2.5 to 5K. For 3D modeling, it will cost you around 7.5K. So if you really look into those, this total thing like the building aesthetics, interior design, like rendering and walkthrough, all those courses, if you combine, and this client dealing and strategies is something which nobody will teach you. Okay, like how to negotiate with clients, how to demand the charge, or how to convince the client actually, because you are already a student, or maybe you just graduated. Okay, so most of the times what happens that when you will be working on these kinds of freelancing projects, people will say that you are a freelancer, right? You are a student, you just like came out of your college, so you don't have prior knowledge. So how do you like deserve this kind of money? So in that case, how to answer those clients? So how to charge the amount of money you deserve actually? So that is the thing which nobody actually like shares with you. So that is something I'll personally share with you, how to do that. So I consider that as priceless, because there is no course where these kinds of things are taught. Obviously there are business coaches and all those things, but obviously they'll charge you in lakhs and crores if they are looking after your business. So a glimpse of all those things will be shared with you, and you can also get the feedbacks from the previous students of this internship. So if I add all those things, so the course price will somewhere like vary between 20,000 to 42,000. So now the point comes, I want to know and listen from you guys. What do you think? Like, do you think price of 20,000 is justificable for this kind of course or internship? Like, I think you have got a pretty good idea about what are the things we are going to be like letting you know, what are the things we'll teach you. So what do you think? Like, is it like pretty much a good deal to have a 20,000 price? Just let me know in the chats. Don't worry, you can say. Sayan is saying that yes, market pricing is going like that. Yeah, I know market. This is the minimum market pricing I'm considering. So like if I consider that you are a student who just graduated or who is just already studying and at the same time willing to learn these things in order to be able to start freelancing on their own. So for a student, this price of 20,000 is like way too much, right? So I don't think it is justified. So I can consider some amount of discount on this in order to just keeping in mind that only students will be participating in this particular internship. So what amount of discount are you expecting? Just be frank and you can like interact easily with me. So if you are willing to take up a course, or if you are willing to learn how to make a plan, how to draft it with all the technical specifications, how to make the 3D modeling, how to render it, how to make a walkthrough of it, how to do the interior detailing part, and ultimately how to sell it to the client. So if you combinedly want to learn all these things, so how much you are willing to pay? Somebody is saying 5,000, okay? So you are expecting a discount of 75%. Okay, I think you guys are pretty much confused about this. So let's just give you a straight off 90% off and keep it 2,000. Just thinking that this is an online course, and obviously I'll not say it is a course, but it is a training, skill development training, you can say, or an internship, and you guys are student. So keeping that in mind, let's suppose that we'll charge only 2,000 for this particular thing. And I'll also not I'd not like to say this as a course fee or kind of training fee, but I'll say that this is a conduct charges, because obviously to conduct this kind of internship, we need to arrange online meetings. For that, we need to bear some kind of charges like the internet, the software premium versions, the charge of the trainer who will be training you, because already our experts, they are working in different projects and they are involved in different workplaces. So out of that thing, they'll be coming here to sit down with you and have a very open discussion regarding these projects. So they'll guide you, basically teach you all the things from very basic. So in that case, obviously we need to bear up some charges. So that's how I can say that we can have a very fair amount of 2,000 rupees for this. So what do you think? I think this is a deal which can never be denied. So apart from the fees and all those things, if you look at the all the elements of this particular training program or an internship, you can easily understand that there is no such similar course, training or internship program like this in market, where you are taught all these things at a place, including the client selling thing. So basically the aim of all this is to make you a freelancer. Okay, this will be your basic steps towards your freelancing career. So we always aim to build a community, not a business, or else we could have easily charged 10 to 15,000 for this internship. So obviously we will teach you, we will groom you, we will make you able to do these things, but obviously you have to walk this path on your own. Basically we will be torching this, but you have to do this on your own. So now comes a very silly questions, that how this training actually profits there. Because obviously you can you may have this question on your mind that, okay sir, you guys are provide Deyan is already providing these things, but this is already worth thousands of rupees, so why you are charging so much less? How this is going to profit you guys? So why this webinar, all these things are kept free? So to answer that, I have a very simple answer for you guys. First of all, Deyan is not a training company or a training institute. Deyan Infratech is basically a civil consultancy, civil architectural consultancy and construction firm. So we basically deal with real life projects. Okay, so there is no extra necessary for these things. But this particular training concept has come up with some personal reasons. So there are some indirect benefits of these things. What, like, we'll come in contact with fresh talents, which is you. Okay, we are obviously looking for different interns because we are like willing to expand our team. So in that case, we are also looking for fresh talents. So these particular internship kind of program, through this we actually pick up our like the people who will be working with us in future. So that is one aspect of it. And not only that, our successful accomplishment like will bring us popularity through our beneficiaries. That means if you are really getting benefited from this internship and in courses, so you will be the person who will promote us. I don't have to ask you to promote us. If you are really benefited from this thing, you will obviously promote us on your own. Let's just suppose that you complete this internship, you get a decent knowledge how to deal with those practical world, and you pick up your first project. So how will you feel? Will not that be a like success to us, that our student is starting something on their own, they are doing freelancing on their own? So that is the thing we are aiming to. And obviously if we are like able to create freelancers like you, people can understand how much like enable we are already within ourselves. So obviously it will indirectly help our consultancy firm to grow. So that is the very like open-minded talk I'm having with you right now. And the last thing that I'm having with me, that I have a global vision of creating a 1 billion family. That means I have a dream. Okay, this is not the dream from very childhood, I'll say, but when I grew up, I came across different things and lot of opportunities. At the same time, I have missed a lot of opportunities due to lack of skill. So I came up with this idea that I'll be teaching 1 billion individual on this earth one day and making them enable to do something on their own. That will be my only target of my life. I don't know whether I'll be able to do it within my one life, like this lifespan, I don't know. But even if I am unable to do, Dayan will continue doing it. So that is the global vision. I want to teach 1 billion individuals. For example, the 100 plus participants that actually participated today in this webinar, I'll also contribute, like consider that those 100 students are already within this 1 million family. Because I think even if you have listened to this webinar very closely for 5 minutes at least, you'll like pretty much you have got something at least. Even one single line, you'll get something which is not mentioned in the books. So that is something we aim to. And this particular internship is an extended version of that. This is a very basic step, you can say, to start your freelancing career. And there are a lot more things which you can learn along the way. There are a lot more different levels. If you first complete this level, you can like proceed to other levels. So those are the things, that's how you can excel. So that is our main aim. We want to create entrepreneurs, we want to create freelancers. So basically whatever we have learned this far, or whatever we are still learning, I always say that I'm a learner. Obviously I'm just an older learner than you, that's all. So learning is a never ending process. So that is the main aim. And like if I tell you about how to enroll, you can visit our website www.dayan.in and enroll there to avail the special discount, because the people who are watching this right now is going to get that for 2000 rupees, because the previous internship it was a very less price than 2000. Okay, because that was on a special discount. So obviously these things, and we can understand even, you know, in the last internship, the students suggested us that, sir, this internship is way too underpriced. So that was the reaction from the students. So they learned a lot of things with that small amount of charge that they are being charged with that small amount of fee. So they told that this internship is way too underpriced. That was their reaction. So we'd also thought that, yeah, obviously we know that it is underpriced, but pricing is not everything. We aim to build a community, right? So I want to like expand this community in a very faster way. So I only aim for that. Money will come along with that. I don't care about that. So Those are the things. So obviously, just I want to say that this charging will rapidly, like exponentially increase in the upcoming months as well. So if you are having some kind of dilemmas or doubt whether to go for this or not, if you really want to do it, you should do it now. And the details will be available in the comment box. It will also be shared via email if you have registered in the WhatsApp group. And right now you can also take out your phone and scan this QR to register. Okay, so that's all for it for today. So if you guys are having any kind of questions, you can ask. Like guys, if you are having any kind of question. So I assume that you guys are not having questions. Fine. So if you still are having questions, you can ask it in the group. You can also mail us, dayaninfratech@gmail.com. You can drop a message in our Facebook or Instagram sites, or you can tweet us also. So we are also available in LinkedIn, so you can reach us through there. So yeah, that was pretty much of it. Hope you liked this session. And obviously the aim is that we empower the youth to empower the nation. That was our aim. And yeah, pretty much that is it. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you. And in the end, I'd like to also say that think, process, and take actions. Because taking action is something which a lot of people lack. They think a lot, they have a lot of different, groundbreaking ideas, maybe groundbreaking startup ideas, but execution is the game. Execution is the thing where it all changes. So think, process, and take actions. Thank you. I'm Devarshi, signing off on behalf of you. And I'd also like to thank all my team members, and a very special and huge thanks to architect ma'am Meenakshi Shina for being present and like sharing all those different aspects of the project. I think you guys have already been benefited with that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone.